Our man John Kincade had to dip out a little early today, but Amy Fadul with me for the remainder of the show. And joining us now on the Comcast Business Hotline, where every day in business is a big day. Let Comcast Business help you move forward with what's next. The president of basketball operations for your Philadelphia 76ers, Daryl Morey, joins us. Daryl, good morning. How are we?
Good morning. Hey, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Thank you for coming on. I'm sure yesterday was a celebratory day for you getting the pick, because we were all still worried about the doomsday scenario where you guys lost the pick to the Thunder, but you also climb up from 6-3. With your pre-draft analysis, how big of a jump for you was that?
Big. I think 3, we feel very comfortable about the player who'll be there. Really excited, and yeah, it was definitely a celebration day and a high drama day that all Philly fans and everyone in the front office and coaching staff went through.
Yeah, our stomachs dropped out when Kevin Nagandi misreported that they lost the pick, and we were sitting there trying to run through the numbers, and I was like, they couldn't have lost the pick. He's wrong. And he corrected himself, thankfully. But you said you feel confident about...
Kevin,
yeah, did you hear that, Daryl, first?
Kevin added... We did, yeah. Kevin added to the drama. Obviously, we sort of knew. Well, I knew that that wasn't correct. Mm-hmm. I knew our odds had dropped, but that they were still alive. And it was actually a pretty funny moment because I turned out and I said, "No, we're not out of it." And then Nick said to Elton, "I don't think Daryl heard that they said we're out."
Yeah, they thought you were wrong. And
it was pretty logical though for Nick or anyone to assume they probably got it right, because I know they actually did several dress rehearsals with the media as well. So yeah, you know what? Hey, these things happen, and just it happened in the most dramatic way.
You said you're pretty confident about who you like at 3, the player that you're going to be able to get. That would lend itself to believe that you are going to take a player at 3. Is that the scenario that you guys are rolling with?
Yeah, that's the plan. I think to get a high upside player that we also think can contribute right away is a big deal, and we feel like 3 is a great spot to be.
When it comes to contributing right away, how difficult for you is it to draft a player for the here and now versus down the road? Because even though you do have players locked up like Joel Embiid, Paul George, and Tyrese Maxey, age also plays a factor, and injury plays a factor. So how much do you think about the 2025 season with your draft pick, but how much do you also think about down the road?
Yeah, I mean, we're, as usual, my job is both. So we are in that window where we're ready to win. But the nice thing about this draft being a very good draft overall, especially at the top end, is that we don't feel like we're going to have to make a compromise there.
It's interesting the way it lines up. And one thing we were talking about earlier, the draft is on the 25th. Free agency starts on the evening of the 30th. So you kind of have it back-to-back, which is helpful, but also it puts you guys in a crunch. You have to decide who you're going to draft, knowing who you might have to try to make a run at free agency. You have guys like Quentin Grimes, a restricted free agent. You have Gershon Yabusele, who is obviously unrestricted, and then players that are coming back in that have the player option. How much does your scenarios for free agency play into who you draft?
Our free agent scenarios won't play into who we draft. We're going to go with the best player there, which is why we're excited about how good the top of the draft is. And then we'll have to work around who we draft in free agency. But if you look at the history of the league, the mistakes are made when you don't just take the best player there. Now, work around it.
Now, we don't know who the player is that you're selecting at 3, but I will ask you, if it's one of the guards that are available in this NBA draft, how much do you take into account maybe the abundance of guards that you already have, or is that something that you ignore because you just want the best player available?
Yeah, we won't take that into account. Yeah, if the best player is a guard, we'll take a guard there.
I like it because there is a lot of value. It's one thing that everybody was talking about. This isn't a draft necessarily littered with generational talent, but there's a lot of guys who could help teams right away. How important is it for that to play a role? These are guys that can come in at the third pick, and they can contribute immediately, much the way that we saw Jared McCain contribute, though I think that was a bit of a surprise. But I think this guy, whomever it is going to be able to come in, play important minutes right away on this team.
Yeah, they'll be highly regarded right away. So yeah, no, we're very excited, and they'll also be, very, very talented as well. So we picked a good draft to get fortunate and move up from 5 to 3.
Daryl, you were on with the Mike Missanelli show last week, and you talked about the end of the season and some of the plans this offseason. And obviously, we know that so much of it goes around the health of Joel Embiid. And I know you cannot guarantee a healthy season out of Joel Embiid, but what makes you feel comfortable that he will be back and playing at the level that we used to see out of Joel Embiid following this season where it was disastrous with injuries?
Yeah, I would say both the success of the surgery, then the early returns from his work with Dr. Glashow have been positive. Obviously, nothing can be guaranteed, but all the directional information we're getting is positive at this point that he'll be out there. He'll be out there next season.
I mean, the one thing you heard from the guys, all the players in the exit kind of interviews was it was a tough season. There's no doubt about it. They didn't really mince words, but they all had kind of a positive approach. Like, there's only one way to go, and that's up. It has to be moving forward. How much has that been the mantra, really, not just of the team, but of the front office as well, thinking like we're not going to get snake bit twice. We have to kind of put that behind us, as hard as it was, and really try to have a more a positive outlook, as hard as it is after the season that you had.
Yeah, I don't know how positive the only way we can go is up is.
Yeah, I mean, that was Kyle Lowry. Maybe it's a little too doomsday-ish.
Yeah, but no, I think we're positive. I mean, I think it's more a confidence that this group knows that the talent of Paul and Tyrese and Joel, and the Jared McCain and Clinton, Grimes, Edwards, Bona, plus the third pick in the draft. I think obviously we didn't know that at the time, but I think that's where the confidence comes from. Is we know we have the talent, and now we just got to get out there, be healthy, and execute.
A lot of Sixers fans that have, let's face it, been beaten down with second round eliminations, right? We know that it's been 20 plus years since they got out of the second round, getting to the Eastern Conference Finals. They look around these NBA playoffs and they see these younger teams that are playing as well as they are. What makes you feel comfortable and confident that if healthy, your Philadelphia 76ers, with the additions that you're going to make either via the draft and free agency, can put you back toward the top of the Eastern Conference?
Yeah, again, I mean, I think we know when Joel's healthy, he's been the top 5 player in the league. We know Paul George is an elite all-star level player when he's playing with a full complement of guys like a Tyrese. Tyrese is going to be going into, I think it's his 6th season, and he continues to progress, especially on the defensive end. And then you add that, our rotation next year is going to be pretty much all 25, 26, 27 and younger. And we feel very good, and all of them are going to be going into at least their second season, except the third pick. And we feel, and generally there's a pretty big jump as young players move into their second, third season. So, we're looking forward to where we'll be next year.
You mentioned a couple of the guys, and I think the one thing that the Sixers could take away, Sixers fans could take away, is that you did win. I like to call it winning on the margins. The guys where you kind of took flyers on, like a Gershon Yabusele, Justin Edwards, a Dembona with the second round pick. Those are really paid off, and I think that there are some positives to take away when you think about that going forward. Now with free agency, with some of those guys, are you confident that everybody is coming back and opting in, and how much does that play into the rest of your a kind of off-season strategy with a Gershon Yabusele? Obviously, Oubre has the player option. Andre Drummond has the player option. Eric Gordon has the player option.
Yeah, obviously it's their choice, but directionally, and I think they've even said it in some of their comments, I think Drummond, Oubre, and Eric will opt in. Yabusele is an unrestricted free agent, so we will look to re-sign him, but that historically in the league has tended to be a harder situation, but it would be awesome if we could get him back. And then Grimes, we feel good about. Obviously, he's a free agent as well, but we have the ability to match the deal. So we're hoping to work something out with Grimes as well.
Daryl, listen, man, we appreciate the time. Congratulations to getting the 3rd overall pick. I don't think anybody expected going into the season to be there for draft lottery night, but it is what it is. The season played out the way that it did, and at least you got to keep the pick and moved up 3 spots as well.
Yeah, I think when you have a rough year, it's important you build on it by developing a McCain, Edwards, Bona, get a Grimes, and then also to get the top 3 pick. It's important that when you have a rough year, because they come every once in a while with injuries, that you maximize it, and we feel like we were able to do that.
Daryl, we
Thanks,
appreciate it.
Daryl.